The story begins with the main character's mother in the hospital. Doctors say that her condition is very bad and getting worse every day. Meanwhile, the main character is waiting in the corridor and thinks that he has not paid for medical expenses for 3 months already. If he does not pay, then the doctors will not give him more satisfying. They don't know what to do. Suddenly, doctors entered the hospital with a sick patient who was wounded in the chest, and they shouted to everyone to move away because they urgently need to perform an operation on this patient. When the wheelchair with the patient approached our character, he dropped his phone. This phone fell right on the chest of an injured patient, and at the moment when the phone touched his chest, some blue magic lines appeared around the patient's chest. The main character was a little scared, but quickly managed to get his phone. Although it was a little dirty, this phone is the most precious thing he has now. Taking his phone, he decided to take a walk around the hospital, and when he touched the screen, his fingertip began to glow, and the main character did not understand what it could be connected with. Looking at his phone, he noticed that some program had begun to load, and some unknown program was opened. When the program was fully opened, there was some girl with white hair and red eyes who greeted the main character and said that he is now using the yin-yang converter, and she will now explain everything to him. The main character was completely at a loss, and asked himself, what is the yin-yang converter? And he assumed that there can convert lifespan, so he began to read more closely what is written in this application. The girl explained that this is an absolutely serious store where you can buy absolutely all types of products. Here you can even buy sleep paralysis and skin rejuvenation pills, all requiring a conversion of yang longevity or yin virtue. Meanwhile, playing the character went into the room of his sick mother and was completely at a loss as he did not believe something could be real. But the girl said that now he can buy anything. One may even convert for yang longevity. In addition, he noticed that in this application, there is also Yaong longevity for sale. When the main character sat next to his mother, he decided to see how much yin virtue and yang longevity he has, and found out that he only had 50 years of yang and minus 9,999 points of yin left, which is pretty sad. So the girl told him that he had a lot of evil spirits. However, if he wants, he can choose to convert of yang longevity, and for 10 years of yang he will get 1 year of life in the real world. Without hesitation, the main character decided to convert 10 of his years into 1 year of life for his mother. After he did this, the machines that showed his mother's vital signs began to work harder, and this means that the conversion has begun. Suddenly his mother began to cough and she slowly returned to consciousness. The girl from the application told him that the main character will soon have to choose, since his mother's condition is not very promising. The main character felt depressed, and he can only hope for faith, so he just started praying that the conversion would work. Suddenly, his mother opened her eyes and reached out her hand to her son. At that moment, we learn the name of the main character, whose name is Ning Hao. Ning Hao's mother said that in the world in which she was very dark, and she was very cold and sick. Suddenly, Xiaobai started yelling at the main character to hurry up and make a choice as soon as there is not much time left. By pressing the button in the application, a window appeared in which it was written that the conversion was over, and the application informed Ning Hao that he was able to successfully save his mother. And as a reward, he will receive 10000 yin points, and he has only 40 years of yang longevity left. In addition to this, he is ranked first in the world for yin virtue. In addition, the girl advised Ning Hao that if he wants to prolong the life of his mother, then he should accumulate as much good merit as possible. Hearing this, Ning Hao was surprised a lot since this is the first time he hears of such. Night fell, and the main character walked alone through the night city. Looking at the application, he read that today he earned 11 points on good merit. Looking at Xiaobai, she told him that this is a good harvest for today, and he should continue in the same spirit. Rejoicing, the main character said that in the current hypocritical world, to charge 11 points at 11 p.m., this is very good. Suddenly, he heard that someone was calling for help, and it was someone who was shouting to be let go. Turning around, Ning Hao noticed how a group of teenagers pestered one girl, telling her to go with them and have fun, but the girl replied that she did not know them, and now call the police. This girl was dressed very modestly, and she had dark hair and purple eyes. She did not stop screaming for help because she did not like being pawed by everyone. Looking closely, Ning Hao realized what kind of girl his campus crush was, and he said that he would not allow these guys to disturb his girlfriend. First of all, he asked Xiaobai what abilities he could use in the current situation, and she informed him that there are 2 skills, namely Ghost Cecity, which can blind 3 people for 12 hours, and Ghost Upper Body, which will significantly improve all the characters' combat performance. But both these skills are worth a year of longevity. Without hesitation, the main character decided to buy them, and with the help of the first ability, he blinded 3 teenagers. These teenagers were completely at a loss and started screaming for help because they did not understand where their eyes had gone. But it didn't end there. The main character began to approach them. Blue flames of energy emanated from his entire body, and this is already the second ability. Also, some kind of silhouette of a knight and a dragon appeared behind him, which were also very strong, and apparently Ning Hao borrowed their strength. When the sight returned to teenagers, they were very scared to see the main character, and did not even know how to react to it. One of them tried to hit him. When his fist was already approaching the face of the main character, Ning Hao ran him to the side and threw him to the ground. All the other teenagers were completely shocked by the strength of the main character, and took out their weapons in preparation for battle. Meanwhile, the crying girl told Ning Hao to be very careful. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Ning Hao was able to create some kind of staff for her with which he hit all the teenagers, and they all flew off to the ground. Only the last teenager remained, who was holding the girl and had already begun to cry in fear, looking at how his friends lost consciousness. Now it was his turn. So he started slowly towards him, telling him not to hide behind the woman but to fight. But he did not become a hero and immediately released the girl, as a result of which the girl immediately ran to her savior with a desire to hug him. She grabbed him by the clothes and thanked him from the bottom of her heart for having saved her. She also said that if he hadn't been here today, she didn't even know what could happen to her. Ning Hao felt embarrassed and said that everything is fine now and he had to do it. It's like anyone who saw it would help. Also, the main character noticed that the clothes that are on the girl are torn, and he took off his own clothes in order to give her girl, asking her to put it on. After that, the girl put on his clothes and thanked him even more. Ning Hao decided to make fun of these teenagers even more. He approached one of them, but he immediately got scared and told him not to approach him, as he would no longer do anything wrong. Then our hero, along with his crush, went to see her home, which is very nice. When they were already at the girl's house, he felt how his phone began to vibrate. He apologized. He decided to take out his phone and see what was happening there. Opening the application, he noticed Xiao Bai there, who changed her clothes and looked more attractive, and said that for the fact that he saved a person in danger, the protagonist will receive 100 points of virtue. Suddenly, Crush held out her hand to the main character. Having some kind of leaflet in her hand, she said that her phone number was there, and she wants to invite Ning Hao to a small dinner in a few days. The main character was very happy and said that he would definitely come. He also said that it was already late for her to go home. He also said that he would definitely contact her soon. The girl was left in complete bewilderment since he left. Without leaving her number, and upset her a little, I didn't stay myself thinking about my savior. Meanwhile, the main character was researching the abilities of his application. At that moment, he read and understood that when he entrusted an incredible power, in fact, the spirit of Zhao Zilong moved into his body, and he had just left his body. Ning Hao informed him that the next time the character is possessed by a ghost, he should try to communicate with him, and if the ghost wants to be reincarnated, he can promise him to exchange his moves with Yin Virtue. But ghost spirit moves need a lot of Yin Virtue, and the girl advised him not to trade his life for this, since he still has to live it. Morning came, except the character was in his house and climbed the stairs. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting to someone to open the door. Standing up, he noticed one girl in a red dress who was screaming that she heard that Ning Hao's mom did not die of cancer, and that means that she must pay the rent of this apartment. Ning Hao wanted to enter his apartment, but accidentally hit this girl, which made her very angry, and she said that if he behaves like that, it means that he can pay the rent. But Ning Hao told her to leave him behind, as they would pay as soon as they could, and closed the door right in her face. Entering the apartment, he noticed his mother, who had already recovered. but she was crying because their financial condition was very deplorable. Next to her was the sister of the main character, who encouraged her mother, saying that they would definitely find a way out of this situation. Ning Hao couldn't just stand and endure it, so he decided to go out for a minute. But his son's sister quickly said that he had just arrived, and again he was trying to leave somewhere. Ning Hao replied that he was leaving in order to explain how to make money. He also wants to meet his friend and will return a little later. Walking in the morning city, I talked to Xiao Bai and asked her if she had any ideas how to make money fast. The girl started talking about the little ghost treasure hunt, and now it's good for him to find an unowned treasure, since he has 111 points of yin virtue. Without hesitation, Ning Hao decided to exchange his points for a map to these treasures, but some small blue ghost came out of his phone, which was not even scary. Xiao Bai told the main character to keep an eye on him, as he would reveal the exact location of the treasure, which the main character began to do. A couple of hours later, he came to some abandoned place where everything was destroyed, and there were no people at all. It was an abandoned factory, and Ning Hao was not sure if there was any treasure at all. But Xiao Bai clarified that the treasures are not on the surface, and he should start digging. So the main character began to work hard. After a couple of hours, he was completely exhausted by digging, and he had to undress the same in order not to get very dirty. He said that he had been looking for a couple of hours and this treasures and could not find them. So he asked if he could return his 100 points of yin virtue back. But Xiao Bai replied that if he had already made an exchange, then they could not return it, so he would have to keep looking. Being in some kind of swamp and with the help of a treasure stick, he felt something strange. Namely, with a stick, he touched some shining object. Sensing this, all the heroes immediately became intrigued and thought that there might be treasures there. So Ning Hao began to dig even harder. Meanwhile, the sister of the main character, his mother, was already talking and began to collect things in order to leave this apartment. They even had nowhere to go. Suddenly, Ning Hao came into the room with some kind of box, and apparently he still managed to find the treasure after so much time. Looking at him, his sister was very happy and asked where he had disappeared. Ning Hao did not answer this question and told his mother that he was very tired and now he wants to rest until the morning when they will already leave this apartment. But his mother asked where he was and why he stinks so much. She also asked him, "Go wash up immediately." Ning Hao already in his room, and he put the treasure case on his desk, getting ready to open it. Opening the case, he was very surprised to see a huge amount of money there that would greatly help him and all his family. Only he needs to come up with something since his mother and sister should not know the real origin of this money. He also thought that they need to find a house in which they can live tomorrow. And after that, he should start thinking how to earn more yin virtue. At the same time, Tang Jian was taking a shower, and when she got out of it, she heard that some unknown number was ringing on her phone, and immediately decided to see who it could be. Picking up the phone and answering the call, she asked who she was talking to. Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice. As it turned out, it was Ning Hao, who wanted to ask her for a favor. Tang Jian was very happy that Ning Hao called again and asked what favor he wanted, to which the main character replied that he wanted her to help him find a house, and that he be good and he could move into it tomorrow. The girl said that she knows one house that used to belong to one family who had already moved abroad. Ning Hao, "How much does it cost to rent this house for a year?" To which the girl replied that the house is for sale, and now it is empty, which means that he will be able to live there. Ning Hao thanked his girlfriend for her help and asked her to drive up to them tomorrow to help move. And later, he will send the address where he is on the other side of Tang Jian's phone, and said that they will see each other tomorrow. The girl was in seventh heaven and simply could not believe that the main character called her and invited her to help. Also, a moment later, looking at her phone, she saw notifications with the address Tang Jian. The next day, the whole family of the main character had already left their house and was heading to Tang Jian, who was already waiting for them. She arrived in a big car. When they approached the girl, Tang Jian immediately helped the mother of the main character, which greatly impressed Ning Hao's mother. So she asked the main character if Tang Jian was his girlfriend, but Tang Jian listened to their conversation and said that they were just classmates. Suddenly, the owner of that apartment approached them along with her guards, and she again began to order them to give the payment for the use of the apartments. She also called the heroes not only poor, but also scoundrels as they tried to escape. But the main character approached the girl with the words that no one was going to run away. At the same time, with his right hand, he was looking for money in his pocket in order to pay her off. Taking out the money, he immediately threw it at the girl, and it hit her right on her watermelons, which angered her and the guards a little. One of the guards, said that no one dares to fight them on this territory, and he shouldn't either. Ning Hao turned around and went to his mother. But the guards did not want to leave him alone, and immediately headed towards him. So the main character took out his phone and turned to Xiao Bai to help him and give him some abilities. After that, a blue flame again appeared around the main character, and some kind of spirit began to inhabit him again, which gave him superhuman strength. He directed this spirit at the guards of that girl, and that spirit made these guards blind for 12 hours, so they all could not see anything. These guards started fighting among themselves, and one of them also hit the girl. So the girl thought that the main character did it and started hitting her guard. It all looks funny. While the girl was fighting with the guards, the character was playing with her friends and her mother. They took all the things and went to the car. Mama Ning Hao, who ate everything, was good there, to which the huge character replied that it was just a bunch of psychos. Tang Jian looked at the guy, and with every second she noticed that he was becoming more and more beautiful and simply could not take her eyes off him. So she always smiled when she looked at him. After a while, they still managed to get to the house that Ning Hao wants to buy. He was very big, and surprised all the characters. Tang Jian told everyone that they should first go to the house with her and inspect it, which they immediately began to do. Entering the house, they saw that then a huge number of different rooms. Tang Jian said that the owner of this house entrusted it to her, and now they can temporarily live until they are given another house, and they will not have to pay rent. Ning Hao's mother thanked the girl for the opportunity to temporarily stay in this shelter, but the girl said that she did not need to be thanked. Ning Hao asked Tang Jian what was the lowest price for this house, which greatly surprised the girl since she did not expect the main character to buy it. So she took his hand and told him to go outside to talk to her. Tang Jian looked into his eyes and said that this house is not the best buy since it costs as much as 50 million yen and not a cent less. When the main character heard this cost, he almost fainted, since he only has almost 1 million. The girl also told him that there are people who want to give more than 40 million for him. But the owner of this house said that if someone could help him open some kind of lock, he would give this house for free. According to him, he is now traveling around the world without finding it. After that, the girl gave the main character the keys to this house and left. After that, Ning Hao went into the house and started talking to Xiao Bai, and she informed him that all his debts had already been paid off, and he had so much left a small debt with his classmate Zhou Xinyu. The main character did not know where he was, as he tried to look for him in places where he usually is, and did not find him there. Suddenly, Xiao Bai told someone to come in. Some girl with white hair and blue eyes appeared from the wall. She was wearing a school uniform. As it turned out recently, the characters knew her and her name was Mo Ting. She looked like a ghost, which greatly frightened the main character, and he didn't even know how to react to it and just started screaming in fear. Mo Ting said she wanted to talk to the main character and asked if it was possible. Xiao Bai was a little shocked by what she saw and said that yin and yang exchange agent is only available to them, and she asked how she can use the body of a ghost. The main character asked the girl what she wanted from him, and she began to tell that when the school caught fire, she immediately ran into the fire in order to save her boyfriend Liu Yun. At that time, she died and woke up in hell. With every word, Mo Ting started to feel bad and started to cry. She also added that before that, she thought that she was burned to death. But yesterday when she came to the reincarnation table, she found out that her boyfriend could save her, but he just got scared and ran away. Xiao Bai approached Mo Ting. I understood in order for her to calm down, but Ning Hao still did not understand how he could help her. Mo Ting said that she read his luck in Yin and Yang book yesterday, and his chances to move up in this life is tonight. So the girl asked the main character to deal with him. Ning Hao was completely at a loss and he simply could not refuse this Mo Ting, so he was forced to agree. Meanwhile, Liu Yun was having a good time with his friends because it hadn't even been a year since he graduated from the university, and he had already become the main leader of this branch of the climbing group, and they decided to celebrate. Now Liu Yun is dating Zhao Mingmin, who is the daughter of the Ascension Group's current CEO. And she is completely in love with Liu Yun and is ready to do anything for him. And today, Liu Yun was transferred to the management of the company's subsidiaries. I understand that he began to meet with this girl just because he specifically asked his friends to attack her and he saved her heroic. And if he can keep power on that girl, then he is provided with a very rich and quiet life. True, she can be disgusting, but he has a lot of money, which is the main thing for him now. And when he has a lot of money, he will be able to have any girls who he wants to, though he already has one girl on the side. Suddenly, Liu Yun's mistress came into the room, who immediately approached her boyfriend and said that he promised her to buy a new phone, and she is still waiting for him. Liu Yun, holding on to his glasses, said that he had already bought her a phone and it was in his car right now. He also told her that she shouldn't come here as it could cause big problems if anyone sees her. Suddenly, Zhao Mingmin started calling Liu Yun's phone, so the guy did not order his mistress not to say anything. Answering the phone, he told his girlfriend that he was still at all and digging into some documents. He also added that he would go home now. Zhao Mingmin suggested that he go together for dinner at Artisan Cuisine since her father wants to see him. What is Liu Yun just couldn't help but agree. Liu Yun quickly got up and, together with his mistress, decided to leave this place, since his girlfriend will be here soon and no one should see them together. Also, the guy did not understand why all of a sudden Zhao Mingmin's father wants to see him. According to rumors, her father has to leave the country in order to have surgery, so the guy assumed that the father wants to entrust his daughter to him. At the same time, the mistress asked if he would come to her tonight because she was afraid to be alone. But the guy replied that she should leave and wait for his call. Walking along the corridor and kissing, the couple did not even notice how some familiar people appeared in front of them. These people turned out to be Zhao Mingmin and her father who wanted to visit the guy. But when the girl saw her boyfriend with another girl, she immediately started screaming and asked who it was. Liu Yun became very worried and did not even know what to say. The first thing he came up with was to say that his mistress is actually his niece who drank too much and came to visit him. But the mistress did not like that she was called just a niece and asked who was yelling at them. Liu Yun was covered in his own sweat and tried to explain his love for her to pretend. But she did not even want to listen to this and continued to say that she was not his niece, which made him even more excited. Zhao Mingmin didn't like being called a vagabond and got even angrier and said that this girl of easy virtue shouldn't call her that. Zhao Mingmin's father was completely at a loss and finally saw who his daughter was dating. Although I not only recently started dating, this guy has already found a lover. Suddenly, Ning Hao appeared in front of them along with Tang Zhan, who was asked what was going on, which shocked Liu Yun even more, and he didn't even know how to react because all these people would go against him. At that moment, Liu Yun noticed her boyfriend's friends and immediately realized that he sent these people on purpose so that they would attack her and he would save her. But Liu Yun still tried to explain everything, although of course he would not succeed. All of a sudden you are talking crazy Tang Zhan, who asked the guy not to think that they are stupid because they understand what is really happening. Also, the girl said something to Zhao Mingmin. The good thing is that she was able to catch him red-handed. Meanwhile, Ning Hao started laughing out loud as he remembered Liu Yun dating a lot of girls in his student days. Liu Yun took his ex-girlfriend's hands and said that all those guys who attacked him made him do it, and in fact, he didn't want it. But before he could complete his sentence, as he received a good slap in the face from Zhao Mingmin, at the same time, her father called the police, urging her to come here as soon as possible, as he found those villains who wanted to attack her daughter. When Liu Yun's friends saw this, they immediately started running from the office as they didn't want to be caught by the police. Also, one of them said that they were only paid $20 to do it, and actually Liu Yun invented it all. The guy was in complete shock and didn't understand. Is this all real? Or is he just in a dream? Suddenly, his mistress, who all this time wanted to be with him, said that she should leave, but she didn't forget about the new phone. The guy grabbed Zhao Mingmin's father's leg, asking for forgiveness, but his father kicked him, which threw him back, and together with his daughter, they simply left this building, sitting on the floor and thinking about what he did. He noticed Ning Hao, who began to slowly approach him. At that moment, the guy realized that it was all organized by the main character, but they did not understand why. The main characters slowly approaching the guy said that all deeds, both good and bad, get what they deserve. After that, he whispered to the guy if he remembers how Zhao Mingmin's younger sister was forced to have an abortion because of him, and if he remembers how one of his girlfriends died in a fire. And now it's time to pay for all the sins that Liu Yun did. After that, the character dealt with him. At the same time, Mo Ting was crying and Xiao Bai supported her in every possible way. When the main character decided to open the application and see what he got, to be shocked to see that for the fact that he dealt with someone he charged minus 1,000 karma, which greatly upset him. But after waiting another minute he received another reward for doing justice. And this reward is getting 1,100 karma points. This calmed Ning Hao, as he was very glad that he was able to do justice and entrust 100 karma points. At that moment, he realized that building good karma is very difficult, and losing it is very easy, so he needs to be careful. Zhao Mingmin's father thanked the main character for his help, and said that he could give them a lift at home. Going outside, they were greeted by a long white limousine that surprised Ning Hao. While in the limousine, there was a table in front of them with all kinds of drinks. And Mr. Zhao told the guys that they did a very good job today, and they can relax with these drinks. At the same time, the main character spoke to Mo Ting through a small earphone, and she told him that Liu Yun would spend his whole life in prison, and he would work all his life just to pay off his debt to Mr. Zhao. At that moment, she was still comforting Mo Ting by telling her that she could at least get revenge on him. While looking at Zhao Mingmin, the protagonist remarked that her features are exquisite, and she got a dark complexion, which is not very popular in these places, so he assumed that skincare snowdrops would be perfect for her. Skincare snowdrops are pills that can change the color of the skin to snow white, and if Zhao Mingmin takes this pill, he will become a completely different person. Then Mo Ting said that Mr. Zhao spent nearly his entire life on the battlefields of commerce and was diagnosed with advanced melanoma and only had 7 days to live. In fact, Zhao Zheng's diagnosis is wrong, and he just needs peace and tranquility, and he will be able to recover before the end of the month. However, if he flies to America in order to cure his illness, he may lose his life there due to the fact that the surgeons will make a fatal mistake. So it is better for him not to fly there. Ning Hao told Zhao Zheng that he felt that he had heart problems. The old man replied that he really had such problems, and he was dying. The main character told him that he should forget about the operation in America, as if he had something that could completely cure him. Zhao Mingmin was completely at a loss to understand how she character knows about her father's condition, and no one knew about his condition except for her and her best friend, which means that Ning Hao will only be able to find out from Tang Jian. The girl said that her father was flying to America tomorrow, and this operation could save his life. She also thanked the main character for his concern. At that moment, Tang Jian felt nervous and immediately said about his girlfriend that she didn't tell Ning Hao anything, so she didn't need to look at her like that. In addition to the heart, the main character feels that Zhao Zheng has some kind of black warts on his hands and even on rare parts of the body. Worried, Ning Hao said that he did not need surgery and asked just to give him 15 days so that he could make medicine for him, and he would feel much better. Tang Jian decided not to stand and be silent, but supported her friend by saying that he has unusual abilities with which he was able to save her from the 3 people who attacked her, so he should be given at least one chance. But Zhao Mingmin protested that these tumors are very dangerous and her father's diagnosis is final, and the last thing he needs is a pair of charlatan doctors. After that, she ordered the heroes to get out of this car as quickly as possible, stating that for her, they were no longer friends. Zhao Mingmin was thinking about what she knew about those 2 warts on her father's arms, and she mentioned them to Tang Jian, but she never heard of other warts that are in other places, and she assumed that Ning Hao is up to it. Zhao Zheng stated that he never told anyone about his condition, and said that he did not know who this child was and who sent him here. But he asked Ning Hao to tell his masters that even with just death, the Ascension group would be given to his daughter. All his efforts to prevent this were useless. After that, the father ordered his driver to stop the car so that the main character and Tang Jian could leave it. Tang Jian tried to explain that they didn't have any bad intentions, but Zhao Zheng's daughter didn't listen and stated that her father's condition is now unhealthy and they won't lead them all the way. After they left the car, Zhao Mingmin assumed that the main character somehow managed to trick Tang Jian into telling her all the information. Ning Hao was completely at a loss, as at first he thought it would sound like an incredible story, that some guy was able to cure a rich man, and he offers all his fortune and his beautiful young daughter. But now he just ruined Tang Jian's relationship with her girlfriend. Getting out of the car, Ning Hao said that he knew that her father had a diagnosed melanoma, and he could help them. However, the last thing he asks them is not to fly to America for an operation, since in 7 days he will die on the operating table. But Zhao Mingmin did not even listen to the words, and being in a moving car, said that it was all funny, although the main character just wanted to save her father's life. Being in the night city, Tang Jian asked her savior if he was telling the truth, but to which he admitted that he was. The girl stated that she believed him, and offered to go somewhere and eat, to which the main character happily agreed. Looking into her eyes, he realized that she strongly believes in him, and the girl, on the contrary, thought that she was too ahead of herself and should not take such big steps. Suddenly, Ning Hao smelled some pleasant smell and asked the girl what perfume she was using, which greatly surprised the girl since she did not use any perfume, and she smells like that. After that, the couple stopped, and the main character, holding his hands on her shoulders, looked into her eyes. So the girl thought something about the perfect moment to kiss and closed her eyes. But Ning Hao noticed that the dust got into her eyes and offered his help, which left the girl in a complete stupor. Turning away, she realized that Ning Hao did not understand hints at all, since she even closed her eyes and did everything so that they kissed. After that, the girl talked to someone on the phone and said that she had to pick up her relatives from the airport, so he would have to go on without her. The next day, the main character was in the cemetery with his mother and sister. She was on her knees talking to her dead father, and told him that she brought her son here so that he could see him. Suddenly, a silhouette of a woman appeared behind them, which I told Ning Hao's mother to step aside and not regret tears. As it turned out, the deceased father is also the father of this woman, and they are all relatives. The woman was unhappy that the characters dare to visit this grave when even they do not have money for offerings. Also, this old man did not leave a cent to them. Therefore, the woman ordered her guards to deal with all the items that the mother of the main character put next to the grave of her father, as this offends him. Upon hearing this, the guards immediately began to destroy and break everything. And most importantly, the character didn't like it much, and he asked the woman to order her guards to stop before it's too late. Ning Hao's mother asked her sister in tears why she couldn't see her father's grave. She also asked why their brother didn't come here. The sister replied that their brother is not an idle slacker like her. All the while he is competing with the Ascension Group for the right to develop in the western part of the city, which can double the fortune of Tang Realty. Also, if their father's entire fortune had been left in the hands of Ning Hao's mom's husband, he would have ruined everything, which made mom cry even more as she was in a hopeless situation. Ning Hao, hugging his mother, turned to his sister, calling her Liu Mei. He said that they are a family, which means that all family members have the right to visit Grandpa's grave. He also once again asked the woman to order her guards to retreat, since this last warning, but the guards did not listen to the main character, and then he decided to take his phone in his hands and ask Xiao Bai. When he already wanted to turn on his abilities, his mother approached him and said not to mess with them, but just leave. After that, Mom took Ning Hao and sister Ning Luo by the hand and just left, not wanting to sort things out. Trying to escape from the hands of his mother, the main character realized that although his mother was still recovering from her illness, she was still stronger than him. He did not understand how this was possible. Liu Mei started that they are infirm and normal losers, and because of this, they will never succeed. She also realized that Tang Ziwan's children are approaching adulthood. This can be a big problem, and that means she has to do things that Tang Ziwan is not capable of on her own. One rainy day, the main character was in his big house. He sat in the room and waited while his phone was charging as it was completely discharged, and he could not use it at all. Ning Hao realized that he shouldn't drain his phone completely, as he would have to trade 1 year of his life in order to summon the spirit of Bai Qi, the butcher. His uncle has become much stronger, and the main character will not be able to stand ahead of his strength alone. Forcing a rotation will mean that both sides will suffer huge losses. Suddenly looking at their phone, He noticed that Mo Ting wanted to make a video call to him, and he decided to answer. After answering the phone, the girl immediately thanked Ning Hao for helping her solve her problem, and she prepared a small gift for him. Ning Hao confessed to the girl that she told Zhao Zheng the whole truth about his fate, but he did not listen to him. But the main character still hopes that Zhao Zheng will not get into any trouble. The girl stated that fate can constantly change even for immortal beings, and he should not worry. Also, she doesn't recall telling him everything, so she does not see any problem in this. Also, she was able to find some treasure in the war memorial. She opened an account with Fortuna, so she can put it up in the yin-yang exchange, and she have some karma ready. Suddenly, some unusual button on which he immediately decided to press, and see what could happen. By pressing this button, some black energy began to accumulate in his body, and some symbols appeared on his chest. After this whole process was over, a notification appeared in the application that the transaction was completed, and Ning Hao got an ability called Dark Banishment. Ning Hao thanked Mo Ting and asked if he could exorcise bad spirits with this, but the girl explained to him that Pain was not very happy because in order to use this ability, he needed to spend 1,000 karma points. After that, she said goodbye to the main character and left him alone. Ning Hao was a little shocked by the amount of karma that he needs to spend, and realized that even a whole lifetime of charity might not be worth that much. Suddenly, the main character heard that Tang Jian came to him, and remembered that she should help him with admission to a new school. Opening the door, he saw Tang Jian and his sister Ning Luo waiting for him. Taking the main character by the hand, Tang Jian said that she can't believe that Ning Hao has something strong and mysterious inside him, so she wants to take the main character to someone, since his talent there can be very useful. This greatly surprised the main character, and he asked the girl to wait until he took his phone. After that, they approached some red car and got into it. While Tang Jian was driving, she was thinking that last night, she did everything for them to kiss. But Ning Hao just said that she got something in her eyes. Could this mean that he is not interested in her? She jokingly suggested that she would have to strip naked, lie down in bed with toilet paper in her hand, then beckon him with her fingers. She doesn't know another way to make her get through to him. After that, the girl said that the owner of the house in which they live returned and he wants to meet him. At the moment when he suggested that she took him last night, Tang Jian added that Uncle Li is an old but good friend of her father, and she wants to introduce Ning Hao to him since he has a lock that no one in this world can open. But she has a feeling that our hero can do it. Even if Ning Hao fails the castle, he will still have the opportunity to raise the issue of his little sister's education, since Uncle Li was a big name in Jovian City's administrative circles. Also, the main character asked something to the castle that no one in this world could open, to which the girl replied that she had never seen him with her own eyes. An hour later, they arrived at Uncle Li, who was very surprised to see this guy, and told him to sit down. The situation was very tense, and the characters looked into each other's eyes. At that moment, Ning Hao began to sweat a little because of the unrest. After a minute, the old man realized that the main character would not be able to open the lock and told him that he could leave. This greatly surprised the main character, since he could not even look at the castle, and he was already rejected, and he asked at least to look at him and give him another chance. Uncle Li rejected the guy due to the fact that he does not feel much value in him, but the main character continued to stubbornly ask for him to be given one more chance. The old man was at a loss and did not understand how such an ordinary guy has such an amount of confidence. Ning Hao explained that he had a secret family technique, and there was no lock in the world that he couldn't open. At the same time, he was holding onto his phone, preparing to use his ability. Uncle Li began to laugh out loud and realized that the guy was serious about all this, and his statements were very loud. So he decided to see if there was anything real behind this chatter. He said that if Ning Hao really could open this lock, the house in which they are now living, he will completely convey to them. After that, he turned to Tang Jian and asked him to go outside as he should offer another chance to this guy. Leaving the room, the girl looked at the guy who was sitting at the table, anticipating the taste of victory in this dispute, and in her mind she also hopes that he will be able to open this lock. Taking a deep breath, the old man pointed to the picture and said that there was a castle. Approaching the picture, the main character was at a loss and asked himself if this castle was inside this picture. He also did not understand what was happening here because he did not see the real castle and thought that there could be such a joke. Suddenly, Uncle Lee began to tell that the woman in the picture is Zhen Mi, the enchanting empress of the kingdom of Wei. The box that is shown in the picture is her gift from Tao Pi, and according to rumors, after this gift she died. This picture shows the last days of her life. Contemplating this sad face for an old man is a pain. Ning Hao said something like, "What Uncle Lee truly seek is the key to his own heart." After that, the main character strained his brain and realized that since he has the name of this woman, he can go to the yin-yang exchange and see if she has some kind of bewitched bed. Only the problem is that Zhen Mi is the legendary beauty who has no equal, and in the other corner is a wrinkled old fart in his 70s. Meanwhile, the old man looked at the main character with suspicion, as he still couldn't believe Tang Jian's words that the main character had some kind of mystical powers. After that, Uncle Lee said that he heard that the main character's little sister is trying to get into a good school, and he is sure that Tang Jian mentioned that he is an influential person, so if the screen character can fulfill his desire, then his sister at the end of this summer will be able to get into any the school she chooses. But the main character replied that his sister already has very good grades with which she can get into any school, and he will pay tuition fees. Ning Hao also asked the old man if he would cause any problems for his sister on the basis of this issue, which they are now solving, to which the old man replied that if his sister aims for the Horizon Academy, then good grades and money will not be enough to be accepted. So the main character had to accept the terms of the deal, since he no longer had a choice. After that, the old man asked what he needs to do to see Zhen Mi's smile again. The character answered him that he just needs to lie down on the sofa and try to sleep. After that, he will arrange a meeting with her in his dream, and he should not worry, as it will be completely safe. Without listening to the end, Sarek immediately jumped onto the sofa, saying that he was not afraid of any danger and his body was ready for anything. Picking up his phone, Ning Hao saw that he had lost 100 karma points, which is a big blow for him, as he should find a way to generate those points faster. Entering the application, he immediately met Xiao Bai, who said that the purchase of visiting Zhen Mi from her spirit through lucid dream will last 2 hours. After that, the main character only had to press and confirm the button to start the process. As soon as he pressed this button and the wall flew out, the spirit of Zhen Mi, who went to the body of an old man who was sleeping peacefully, and began to have beautiful dreams with her. Ning Hao left the room and immediately met Tang Jian, who was looking forward to him, and asked if he was able to open this lock. The main character replied that the work is still ongoing and they better not disturb Mr. Lee. So now he needs peace and quiet for a little while, and until 5 hours have passed, he should not be disturbed by anyone. Shortly after that, Ning Hao and Tang Jian went to eat at a table that was completely full of all kinds of food, which greatly surprised the main character. He did not understand how the two of them could eat all this. She should not have spent so much money. But Tang Jian said that she could at least keep her promise to treat him to dinner as a thank you. Pouring red wine into his glass, Ning Hao began to tell that Tang Jian found him shelter, helped him, and even helps his sister to enter a good school, so she can count on the main character to be always at her disposal if she has any desire, then just need to tell him it. I'm worried. Tang Jian said that she needs help getting rid of the pests that bother her, and since he is good at fighting, it won't be a big problem for him. Scratching his head when he is a character and blushing a little, replied that he is actually not the best wrestler. I understand that the pest that got the girl interfered with her parents. Her mother also likes him, and he visits their family tomorrow for lunch. So in tears, the girl asked the main character to save her as it could ruin her life. The main character was in complete shock, and he did not think that marriages of convenience still exist. And he was wondering who this pest was. The girl replied that he would become a valuable business partner, and because of this, her family might sell her off in a marriage of convenience. And the main character became interested in why the girl would not talk to her parents, since they could certainly take her side. Looking the girl straight in the eyes, he added that no parent could bear the betrayal of their own child. The situation was very tense. The girl informed him that tomorrow at noon she would be at No. 11 Consulate Lane, and added that the main character can come if he wants. Taking her small bag and crying, she ran out of this room, which left the main character in a stupor, and he did not even know how to react to this. After that, the main character went home where he just sat on the bed as he was very tired. Taking his phone in hand, he went into the application and read that if he helps someone fulfill his desire, then for this, Ninghao can get 50 karma points. So he thought helping Mr. Lee could count as a huge good deed. Suddenly, Mr. Lee himself began to call the main character, and after he answered, he heard very good words in his direction. The old man said that our hero had done a miracle today, and thanked him very much. Besides that, now this house will be placed under his name, and his sister will be able to enter the best academy. He also asked the character to expect good news over the next days. Sitting on the couch, Ninghao was very happy that the work he had done worked, and asked if Mr. Lee had any side effects, to which she replied that his health is fine. He even feels a little better than before. He also met with Zhen Mi in a blossoming grove. She ignored him, and the old man just pursued her for a very long time. After that, she opened up to him, and they began to communicate a lot. He cheered her up and made her smile, and he was very glad that again I could see her smile, wanting to hang up the main character. Having heard how the old man asked if he could again make Zhen Mi visit his dreams, to which the main character pretended that very important things awaited him, and hung up. Thoughtfully looking into nowhere, the main character argued that without unholy might, such a weakling as he would not be able to protect anyone, even himself and his sister. So Ninghao realized that he needed to acquire a permanent version of the power. For this, he went to the application where he saw Xiao Bai, who was upset about something. She immediately asked the main character why he was in contact with her at such a time. Ninghao was at a loss to understand why she was talking to him in such a tone, and asked if he could acquire the permanent version of the combat technique granted by unholy might. Xiao Bai replied that this option is not available for regular customers, but when he spends all of his 10,000 karma points on goods and services, he will immediately be upgraded top status. The main character did not really like this method, and he wanted to know if there was another, to which the girl replied that if he would help one of those warriors to resolve the protracted unfortunately, they would be willing to come to an arrangement. I understand that the main character is the only client in Mortal Kingdom, and he is in an ideal position to carry out such tasks. After that, Ninghao asked the girl to ask the other fighters if they had any remaining tasks that he could complete. Xiao Bai did not even agree but said that she would only do it now. It would be better to keep it a secret, or there will be literal hell to pay. After that, the girl immediately ran to the arcane casino, which has a huge number of wrestlers. After some time, the girl told the main character that she found one person who lost everything he had, and now he wants everything except karma. Ninghao must deposit funds in the amount of 2 billion, and that spirit will give him half of his personal power. Ninghao did not understand why he exactly wanted money instead of karma, and the girl replied that this man had the blood of 1,000 people on his hands, and his karma debt was in the billions. This greatly intrigued the main character, and he wanted to know what this guy is, and why he dealt with so many people. Xiao Bai said that he is now waiting for money. After he transfers all the money to him, she will create a special version of his unholy might with only 1% of standard duration, and thus, in order to get his power, the main character will need only 1 point of karma. The main character was ready to transfer the money but did not know what address, so Xiao Bai said that he should not worry about it, and he can just transfer the money to her, and she will do everything. Along with this, she told him the address where he should transfer, and it is Netherworld. 4 hours later, the main character went to some company that transfers money to hell. Since there was a lot of money, we didn't have to move this money in cars, and for this it took 2 cars. After all the money was already on the ground, and everything was ready for the transfer, Ninghao gave one worker the address where the transfer should be made. This worker took a piece of paper with the address and set it on fire, thereby starting the transfer, and all the money that was on Earth also burned down. Opening the application, the main character noticed Xiao Bai, who said that she entrusted the money and now he should just expect strength. She also reminded him to transfer 1 more karma point to her. Suddenly, after the transfer of karma, the entire body of the main character began to replenish with power, and a silhouette of a fighter from whom this power was taken appeared behind him. And now, the main character can always use this magic. Being in his room, he began to crush pillows and realized that all his physical indicators had become much better. And he thought that a guy like him could now be called a trap. The next day, he quickly got up and got dressed, and remembered that he needed to go to Tangjan. He had never been to Tangjan before. His Nahal stood up asking passers-by for directions, and he didn't even know what number her house was. Suddenly, someone called him, and answering the call, he heard a completely unfamiliar voice for himself. But the interlocutor already knew the name of our character, which greatly surprised him. The interlocutor asked where he could find Ning Hao, since his boss instructed him to hand something to him right into your hands. Ning Hao would be at a loss to not want to know who his boss was, and as it turned out, the boss was Minister Li, with whom the main character is familiar. Suddenly a black car stopped in front of him, and some man in uniform and with medals on his chest got out of it. "Get out of the car!" He immediately greeted the main character in the army, handing him some kind of envelope. The man asked if Ning Hao was the same young guy that Mr. Li mentioned. After that, the man began to leave silently. Ning Hao saved the number from which he called, since if he needs something, he can use this number. The envelope contained a document that confirmed that the house was now Ning Hao's private property, and that they could now live there as long as they wanted. While continuing on his way, the main character noticed one mansion that was twice as large as his house, so he has no doubts that this could be the house of the Tang surname. He noticed that there were a lot of cars near the house, which means that other guests have already arrived, and this is the perfect time for him to break up the party. On the threshold of the house, he was met by two guards who were very familiar. Looking at their faces, Ning Hao immediately realized that such guards were with Aunt Liu Mei when they were at his grandfather's grave, and this means that she can also be at this event. These guards did not want to let Ning Hao know that he is some kind of child and cannot be associated with the surname Tang, but apart from the character ordered them to get out of the way, calling them dogs. One of the guards got very angry because he did not like what they called him. He began to threaten the main character, saying that he could break his bones. On the other, the guard stopped him because he realized that this guy could really be a friend of the young master's fiancé. After that, they stepped aside and the main character confidently entered the house. In the house, he saw that all the family members had gathered, and even Liu Mei was also there. Looking at Tang Jian, he was just shocked as she looked stunning, and the black dress on her looked very beautiful. Looking at the girl, Ning Hao began to slowly forget why he came here. Before he could say anything, some guy with black hair and a business suit said that they were talking about a marriage that they wanted to arrange, and he was not invited here. As it turned out, this guy turned out to be the nephew of the main character whose name is Tang Huang, and now it's clear why Tang Jian called him a scoundrel. If she marries this guy, then her life is over. The main character began to explain to everyone present that they are now in the Dark Ages, and love must be free, and Tang Jian must choose the scheme she wants to get married. Suddenly, Tang Huang grabbed Ning Hao by the clothes, as he was unhappy with the fact that some stranger wants to interfere with his marriage. Tang Jian ordered Tang Huang to pull herself together, as she didn't want to accept an offer from him. She also ordered him to let go of the main character, calling him her boyfriend. When the girl's parents heard this, they were very surprised, and the father ordered Tang Huang to sit down, since this house is not a place for such scenes. Tang Jian's mom was immediately interested in who this guy was, and she demanded an explanation about how he got into her life. Tang Jian replied that the main character is her former classmate with whom she has been in contact for years. Suddenly, Liu Mei with a smirk told the girl not to believe this guy, since he and his father are good for what? She also added that panhandling and skirt chasing is all he knows. Ning Hao didn't like the way they spoke to him, and asked his aunt to watch her tongue and not say bad things about his father. Liu Mei, laughing out loud, began to tell everyone what happened to her sister-in-law. Namely, she got married to some hot guy. No one could dissuade her from this act. Ultimately, disappointment over everything experienced led to the death of her own father. Then the father of the whole family finally found out that the main character is the son of Tang Zijuan, and his name is Ning Hao. After that, the main character asked his girlfriend to come closer to him, and she hugged him, which looked very cute. But the father, apologizing, asked the guy to leave this house, since now their family has private affairs in which he should not interfere. Mom also added that Ning Hao is not an honored guest in this house. Liu Mei, looking at the main character, asked if he could at least provide this girl with money and at least pay the rent. At that moment, Ning Hao realized that this was the perfect moment to show that he had rights to that house, which he immediately did, once again telling everyone that Tang Jian did not want to get out and was forced to marry. Auntie, when she saw this, was in complete shock. She didn't even know what to answer, since she always thought that the main characters were a beggar. Also, the main character added that Tang Jian is bearing his own flesh and blood. When the daughter's father heard from this, he was simply furious because he could not believe it, stating that his daughter is such a type of girl. But the main character asked him to ask her herself. Despite the girl, he began to wink at her, hinting at deceiving them. The girl understood all the hints. Unlike the main character, waving her head said that it was true. Liu Mei took advantage of this situation and asked Mr. Tang did not listen to the main character, as he is a dumb child with a fluent language. After which she asked if the agreement would continue that would allow the career object to take over part of the projects of the Western City. Meanwhile, Tang Huang still couldn't calm down and tried to interfere with the main character. This time, he even wanted to attack him, shouting for him to leave this house. At the moment when he wanted to hit Ning Hao, the main character grabbed his hand and punched him in the face in response, which pushed him back into a chair. The father of the family realized that everything had gone too far and ordered the guards to throw Ning Hao out of this house. The guards heard the order, immediately ran towards the main character, but he was able to deal with each of them. Meanwhile, Auntie once again told the guards to attack the main character, stating that if he dies, then she will take responsibility. Suddenly came home Madame Zhao, who looked as stunning as Tang Jian. The dress she was wearing was just perfect for her figure, not to mention her big watermelons. When she saw what was going on in the house, she was a little shocked. Tang Jian's father immediately greeted the lady and stated that the signing of the contract should take place tomorrow. At first, he thought that she was here just to discuss some details with him, but in fact, she came here for something else. Looking towards the main character, she stated that on that fateful day, she made a huge mistake that she did not believe them. And now, her father wants to talk to him immediately. But Ning Hao could not go with her, because he did not want to leave his beloved girl. Meanwhile, Auntie and the girl's father were confused because the main character approached the heir of the Ascension Group. And moreover, the CEO asks him by name. At that moment, this man ordered his guard to stop. Since a couple of erroneous words should not break relationships in the family, he also ordered the guard to get out of this house. Besides this boy, there is an heir of the Ascension Group's CEO. Winning the whole Western City project is very easy for them. Madame Zhao realized that she was wasting precious time and began to beg Tang Jian to ask her boyfriend, her father, to depend on him. But the girl said that she could not tell him anything, due to the fact that he is now in an impasse by her parents, and it would be better if she asks. Meanwhile, Ning Hao stood up in front of the girls, declaring that no one else would force a girl to marry someone, and she would be free. He promises it with his life. Tang Huang was very angry and still stopped a little. He took an ashtray from the table and prepared to throw it in the face of the main character. Mr. Tang wanted to stop him, but he failed. After he hit, Ning Hao punched him in the face. The blow was so strong that the parents fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Auntie, looking at all this, screamed for someone to call the police in order to arrest this killer. Mr. Tang told everyone else to come here and deal with this animal. But not having time to do anything, Madame Zhao, pointing at the man with her finger, asked what he was doing and whether he wanted to lose his contract with them. She said that if they damaged at least one hair on the head of the main character, they would regret it, and nothing more could do so, how to lose all their contracts. Hearing this, the man immediately calmed down, as he was testing a lot of money on your projects and didn't want to lose it. He also said something. Mr. Tang told the others present to continue this pact next time, but it still stands. When a woman took her husband's hand, she was a little shocked by the fact that her husband tried to force his daughter to marry for some kind of contract, like a piece of merchandise. Ning Hao, hugging his girlfriend, said that he won't let anyone force her to do anything. I understand that he is the only one who can heal Zhao Zheng if they don't want to lose the western part of the city project. and to prevent this from happening, they just need to keep Tang Huang away from Tang Zhan. The girl looked into the eyes of her savior and reasoned that coming here led to the fact that he was insulted and injured. But he still deliberately protected her as soon as he asked him. At that moment, Madame Zhao realized that she would be able to find herself a real man like Ning Hao, and not a gold digger's goblins who only dated her for her father's money. But she immediately stopped, as it was indecent to think about it. She again began to beg the main character to go with her in order to heal her father. But Ning Hao hadn't finished yet, and he said to Mr. Tang that he should say something. I'm worried the man apologized and said that he will leave the girl behind and will not force her to marry Tang Huang. And from now on, they will not interfere with them. I realize that this scoundrel is ready to do anything for the sake of money and even completely cut off all his relations with his family. In those days, he stole the will of his grandfather and mother, and now he is being sold to your son for some project. And I wonder what his son will think when he finds out the real motives of his father. After that, Ning Hao told Madame Zhao to hurry up as her father was waiting for them. Hearing this, the girl was very happy, and with a bag in her hands, began to run to the car that was waiting for them. Going out into the street, a long black limousine stood in front of the house, and all the heroes quickly jumped into it. Suddenly, the phone of the main character began to vibrate strongly. As it turned out, Xiao Bai sent him a good offer for which he can get a bunch of karma points, lives, and new abilities. It was also written there what kind of good feedback would be left for him when the characters could entrust, like, 1 day of life, which made him think. In addition, the whole team will consist of gorgeous babes. The beauties of Immortal and Underworld are going to be in there. It's bound to be lively. Ning Hao asked Xiao Bai if these girls would do it with him since they are ghosts and spirits, and so they can live forever. But the girl replied that she hadn't finished yet. I'm with me. The point of all this is that there are group discounts for all items, and this means that the main character will be able to buy everything cheaper. After hearing this, the main characters were intrigued and did not want to get into that group. But he warned Xiao Bai that he would not always be online. After that, the main character asked Madame Zhao why she suddenly believed that he could heal her father. The girl replied that the black tumor he was talking about was not there during the last examination, and that day before the flight, it suddenly appeared. She also said that if the main character can save her father, then she will give him everything he wants. They promised her that in 2 weeks he will do everything possible to restore her father's health. After that, Madame Zhao offered her body to the main character, which surprised him greatly, and he said that he already has a girlfriend. Upon hearing this, the girl immediately began to say that she was just joking and should not be taken seriously. She was very interested in exactly how Ning Hao would treat her father. The main character plans to use secret medicines for 15 days. Also, during all this time, he should not drink alcohol or be intimate. The girl was a little surprised because for her father, it is very easy. Also, the main character warned her that if he interrupts the use of the drug, then it will be the end for him, and even the gods will not be able to help him. Madame Zhao immediately offered $1 million if the main character could heal her father. But Ning Hao refused as he heals others because of their fate and not for money. But in fact, in his mind, he thought that money was not so important to him, and he would talk to Mr. Zhao. What does he need alone? Being in the mansion, Mr. Zhao began to apologize to the main character for that night. But the main character replied that it is normal for patients to have a strange temperament. Also, doctors are also different, so don't blame them. After that, the man asked if he could cure his illness, to which the main character, drinking water, replied that if they had turned a day later, even the gods would not have saved him. Also, the main character told the man that he heard that the Ascension Group wants to give the West Side renovation project to Mirage Homes and Realty. The man agreed and added that tomorrow he would have a meeting with the owners of that company in order to sign a contract. The man also became interested if that company had bad conduct. Ning Hao didn't think long and said that he didn't know how bad the company was, but its owner forced his own sister out into the street.